Hi. This is really the first time for me doing something like this, so I'm just going to go ahead and get started. Um, Here in my recent past, I've had some issues, and I unfortunately got a DWI. And on going in through the whole process of lawyers and judge and so on and so forth, the one thing that I noticed is, I guess, something that all of us over time have done to each other and to time, and we've seen each other by face value. Um, we've seen a charge, we've seen what someone does, we've seen the color of someone's skin, and we just run off of that. And we never really run off of, let's look a little deeper. Let's look on reasons. Let's look on what we can do, what they can do to help the situation. Um, my DWI was my fault. I agree. But neither my lawyer, the judge, an evaluator I went to check my psyche, none of them asked the simple question of why did I drink that day. They all focused on, do you have a drinking problem? One of them even asked me, when did your drinking problem start? And it's amazing that that was the first question that person asked me, instead of asking me, what happened? I don't have a drinking problem. I have a depression problem. The day that that happened was the week of my father's birthday, who my father had a tragic death. And I don't handle it very well. And unfortunately, sometimes the way I handle it is to just make my mind go away, and that day I did. And I suffer the consequences of that. But I look at everything that's going on in the world today, from my job to the things that are happening around in all the major cities. And I think one of the problems that we're all getting into is the same ones that I ran into. Is that people are looking at the problems at face value. They're not looking at the problems of, what's the core? What other questions can I ask? What other things can I do to find the root of this? Instead, let's just cast blame. Let's just call everyone a hater. Let's just call everyone an alcoholic. Let's put them in this blanket box, instead of, let's get into the detail. Let's try and figure things out. Let's talk to these people. Let's not riot. Let's not burn, take statues down, whatever else. Let's talk about it. I think sometimes it's pretty hard for people to communicate. But as I sit here and reflect on my own situation, I think it's somewhat everyone's situation where we refuse to communicate. We refuse to talk, because when we talk, we're wrong, we're offended, we're politically incorrect. But it's not that hard. It's not that hard to sit and talk to someone, to ask them why they're offended. And why is it so hard for that person that's offended to not see my point of view, or whomever's point of view, on, okay, maybe that offends you, but maybe something you do offends me, and maybe things just happen. And maybe we need to look deeper into ourselves and figure out that's all okay. We don't have to solve the world's problems. Not everybody has the same problems, even though they look like the same problem on the outside. Even though it looks like that person has a drinking problem, maybe they have a depression problem. Maybe they have a problem seeing things in your eyes. Maybe they have a problem seeing things sometimes in their own because they view things differently. We all view things differently. And I think the number one step, I'm single myself, so sometimes it's hard to take your own advice. But I always tell everybody in every relationship, whether it be your work, a girlfriend, boyfriend, wife, child, it's about communication. It's about how and when we talk to each other. It's about sitting there and listening, not arguing, not fighting, not rioting. It's sitting and listening and trying to talk and understand each other's side and get to the point where we can talk about each other's differences. We can talk about each other's problems, and they're okay. It's okay to be different. It's okay to be different. But sometimes just because you look like that other person doesn't mean that's who you are. Just because I'm white doesn't mean that I'm racist. Just because I'm Republican doesn't mean I'm racist. Just because I'm liberal doesn't mean that I hate all Republicans. But that's how we've all become. We've all become a blanket, a face value. Pretty much what we see is what we're going to run off of. We see a person that is thin and we say, oh, they have an eating disorder. We may not realize that they don't have an eating disorder. They have a disorder of dealing with life and the things that happen. On the opposite, you may see a huge bodybuilder and realize, man, that guy's got it going on. But you may not understand the only reason he's so fit is because he stays in that gym to take his mind off the other problems in life. He does what he has to do to deal with his emotions. And that's what we all need to see in each other, is we're all different. And it's okay to be different. We'll never all be the same. And we need to accept that. And we need to realize that this whole world is built on diversity. And that's okay. So if you take nothing out of this, or if you take a lot, the main thing I want everyone to hopefully get is just to sit and listen. That's all. Think about what you've heard. And think about what's the best response and what's going to get you the most information back rather than just a slap in the face. Have a great day, everybody.